Alrighty, y'all. Hello. We are back with a car video. Yes! These are way more rare these days than they should be. My apologies, but they're my favorite ones to make. So we are looking at what should be actually extremely fun and interesting for me, although a little bit painful in a sense, because we're looking at forbidden fruit, basically, at least for me. Looking at some posts relating to, Happy Sunday Europeans. This is what the first one says. Americans are at work today. Nice joke. But we are not. Post your favorite car that Americans can't have. So immediately I thought, okay, I got to take a look at this, see what we can learn about. And of course, get multiple reminders that our car market is a little lackluster, especially these days. Now, maybe 50, 40 years ago, we had an awesome market, but these days, yeah, we miss out on a lot. So here is the first post we will take a look at right away in the picture. If we actually search, because this isn't mentioned, if we search with Google Lens, it's a Cupra Leon. Leon? Or Leon, maybe? Specifically a 2021 model is indicated by the license plate. It's a hot hatch, 242 horsepower plug-in hybrid. That's kind of cool. See, I'm personally not a big fan of EVs, as in owning one. Like, I don't want to own an EV. They're just, there's too much differences and weird kind of anxiety I would have with owning one. Not to mention infrastructure problems, at least near me. But hybrids, on the other hand, I feel like are a great option. Regardless, this thing is absolutely awesome. We've seen a Seat SUV, like a performance one, kind of like this, but obviously an SUV that was really, really cool. I think it was actually like considered a crossover. And, of course, being a car guy, the whole car guy community worldwide, everyone makes fun of crossovers, right? But it's definitely a crossover I would actually want. And this is no different. This is a sharp looking vehicle, right? Again, when it comes to hatchbacks, even we do have those here, even still currently, but the ones we have left are very underwhelming. They're not good. Not many to choose from. Most of them kind of suck. I'd say the only decent ones you can even find would be, again, the go-to, right? Like a Volkswagen Golf or a Golf GTI, right? That's about it. Nothing that looks like this. This thing is extremely sharp, and I'm sure some people would agree or disagree, but I think this looks better than a GTI. It's just a little bit more my style. Of course, scrolling down, this is the top comment. And what is this exactly? A Renault 5? Okay, so Renault 5. Let's click on that. So it shows old versions and newer versions. Look at that. It's an electric car? Wow. Now, remember, I'm not a big electric car fan, but and part of it is they usually look weird. This one actually looks kind of cool. It looks like a normal car. That's why I was actually shocked when it said it was electric. This looks like it could easily just be a regular car with a, regular engine. So the fact that it is an EV and it looks regular, it's not like purposely made to look super weird that, so that screams like weird EV look, right? This thing's pretty cool, actually. I suppose it does look kind of sporty. I suppose, being electric, it's probably got some pretty impressive numbers. And then, decent range and all that stuff as well. And people even saying in the comments about that Renault 5, I must say it's been a long time since a regular car caught my attention, to the point I keep staring every time I see one. I wasn't expecting that car to be a French electric Econobox. That's kind of impressive. I mean, it does look good through pictures, through like low resolution pictures, mind you, from my computer screen right now. It still looks impressive. I imagine in person this probably slaps. And you can see I have the same, and I gotta admit, I kind of want one. I'm in the US. I really want one. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of that here. I mean, that's what the whole theme is cars we're just missing out on. Now, of course, I would expect to see this here, and I always do get a little bit jealous. These old, pretty much any 80s or 90s Euro hot hatch is awesome. Now, of course, we had, at least back then we had a little bit, in this kind of game, we had some hatchbacks and some hot hatches, even here stateside. Of course, maybe just a couple Euro offerings. Of course, we had some Japanese offerings as well that were awesome. I used to have an 89 Civic Si, so I know a thing or two about hot hatches. And yes, that ironically was the funnest car I've ever had. So knowing that, I can imagine that something like this would be an absolute joy to drive. I mean, this is right up my alley, right? It's got all the right looks about it. I mean, this is what, early 90s perhaps? I just love the look of these hot hatches, especially the European ones. I mean, come on, dude. This is the best era for driver's cars ever. May I mention about these cars too? Would you almost agree that like numbers don't even matter, right? Like I want to have the keys to this and just drive it. And you know what? Almost purposely, I don't even want to know how much horsepower it has, how much torque it has, what's the 0 to 60 time, recorded on paper. I don't even want to know that stuff. You know why? Because on a car like this, it doesn't even matter. First of all, I've learned cars like this are usually faster than people might think. But second of all, they just drive so well. Cars from this era, especially hot hatches, they drive so well. They're so engaging and satisfying to drive in the simplest of measures that you don't care about the numbers. They're just the best. Overpriced, but you can't deny it looks cool AF. What do we have here? Is that the Peugeot logo? I believe it is, right? Of course, you guys, oh yeah, you guys can see it. Let's go here. Has a French plate. At least I think so. Yeah, this is cool. I will admit, I used to love this kind of cement gray color. Nardo gray, whatever it's called. I think it's called various things. I gotta admit, though, can we agree this is a little bit overdone now? It used to be like a rare color when it came out like, I don't know, what, 9 years ago or something. It started popping up more. And it was like, damn, that is a sharp color, right? Especially with black accents. But man, has it become so common that, it's a little bit overdone now. It's lost its luster. I have to admit, though, just objectively, this does look sharp. It's not this car's fault necessarily. This is a sharp car, definitely. Sharp sedans. We were just talking about hatches, but sedans too, right? I've had some awesome sedans, and I think a lot of times in the car guy world, they're a little bit overlooked, right? People talk about hot hatches and then muscle cars and sports cars and supercars, but a good sedan is like one of the most entertaining and practical and joyous things to own, right? Having a good sedan that's also fun to drive, it's super practical. Only beaten out by a wagon, of course. But yes, this thing looks hella classy. I guess it's called a 508 PSE. People say that these are actually affordable. They look especially good in red. You know what? I'm going to have to look this up. All right, so let's go to images. And of course, it pulls up gray. Let's see some other colors. Of course, they make a wagon version. Looks incredible. I did not know about Peugeots that look like this. I always think of smaller cars, not big sedans and wagons. This is really good looking, actually. Wow. Yeah, we definitely don't have anything that looks like this in the US. It's very unique, kind of amazing in this day and age that they made something so unique. It's very odd when you see this front end and you almost see it. It's so different that you think, yeah, that's too different. It doesn't work. But in my opinion, it actually does work. This does work for me. I like it a lot. It is bizarre, but kind of bizarre in the best way, if that makes sense. It looks good in white, too. Wow. This thing is sharp. I feel like this is definitely one of those cars that hits above its weight in, like, cost to, like, looks. I'm assuming this is nowhere near as expensive as, like, a fully loaded Audi or BMW. But yet, at least to me, this looks really good, right? Like, this is a sharp car if you pull up and get out of this. Like, this is not a cheap-looking car to me. Pretty cool, actually. Again, I mean, it's very 2025, right? The interiors are looking almost, like, similar in a lot of cars nowadays, but, like, it still looks sharp, right? Electronic displays everywhere. That kind of stuff is not my favorite. And that's just because I'm old school. I'm a weirdo. I like older cars, but kind of analog type things. But it definitely looks the part. And what's crazy is that seeing a new interior like this with one of these. It's just so like rare now. I mean, it's basically extinct here in the U.S. Seeing a modern, flashy interior with all the screens and then a stick shift right here, yeah, that doesn't happen here. And then, of course, people talking about, some people really like it, think it's stunning. Standard equipment is excellent. Of course, some people are saying, reliability problems, right? Like, definitely until the engine blows up. But then they're saying that this drivetrain in this isn't actually that bad. Maybe they're mixing it up with something else. They said the new 1.6 Pure Tech, I guess that's in this, is apparently quite good. They don't use like a wet belt, which I guess the 1.2 did. So I don't know how you guys feel. Maybe if you guys have driven one of these or perhaps you own one, tell us what it's like. I mean, this is a very sharp car. Of course, these are awesome, the A110, right? I mean, I've seen this before. These are super cool. Super, super cool. Smaller sports cars, again, that segment is almost extinct here as well. So seeing this, I can always appreciate that. I think it's awesome. Every smaller kind of sports car I've driven like, Mercedes SLA, Mercedes SLK, sorry. Chrysler Crossfire, basically the same car. I've driven an Alfa Romeo 4C before. Very, very fun cars, right? I've yet to drive a Miata. I don't know if I'd fit in one, but I would love to. But yeah, this is kind of reminds me of like those smaller sports car type vehicles, and it just looks like it would be an absolute blast. My goodness, what is this? This was the next car in the lineup. I have no idea what it is. It's so blobby, like goofy looking and quirky that, of course, I want it. Now, of course, I'm sure these are a dime a dozen. In most European countries, this is a wagon with a diesel, of course, made by Volkswagen. Now, we do have these in the U.S. It's just they're, of course, for some reason, ultra rare. Having just, any manufacturer, right? They kind of all make diesel wagons as far as I know in most of Europe. And here, yeah, you're more likely to see a Corvette. So... Again, why? I'll never understand, but this is pretty cool, and I would love a daily driver, a wagon with a manual and a diesel. I feel like that is peak daily driving, right? That's got to be like the best car you can have for practicality, mileage, reliability. Yeah, the Panda, all of them, every gen, every year, don't care. I am hella jealous of this. These little... four-wheel drive kind of, little monsters. I don't know what you would call these. They're awesome, right? I have a lot of them to learn about, too. The Fiat Panda I've learned a little bit about, and I freaking like it a lot. The old ones are awesome. I know there's quite a few other ones. I know a lot of Niva has been requested for, like, probably almost 2 years on my channel. I still have to learn about that. And I know I'm going to probably love that, too. I've seen people take Skodas off-road and, like, all these different things, right? Like, these are cool. I love these smaller kind of off-road-esque vehicles, these rugged little vehicles. Super cool. Not something we really have here at all. And I like it a lot. I want a Fiat Panda. This is super accurate here. The entire Skoda brand applies. Wish we had them here. I freaking love Skoda. I think they're super sharp, super interesting company, awesome cars. Yeah. The entire Skoda brand applies. It's actually pretty effed up how utterly dog shit the North American car market is. They get nothing interesting. So I will 95% agree. It is dog shit. It sucks, man. We miss out on so much. I wouldn't say we get nothing interesting. We get a couple interesting vehicles. But you're right. It's mostly nothing interesting. A lot of fascinating cars I learn about, I always find out, oh, it's in this market or that market. Not the U.S. Like, that's just a theme, That's just what you get used to hearing. We really do. We really do miss out on so much. It's very disheartening. This comment makes a lot of sense, too. For a country so dependent on cars, like the U.S., you would think the market would be incredibly diverse and have a lot of interesting options. I've actually mentioned that in a video before. Since we're so car-centric, right? You can make fun of it all you want, blame this, blame that, point out how, we're so car-dependent. So be it. But at least, why don't we have the best car selection on Earth then, right? Since that's what we rely on. It's really annoying how we're very car dependent, unlike a lot of other places. And we don't even have the best selection of cars either. Now, this is freaking cool. I've seen a little bit about this before. This is the Scirocco R. I think this was sold in most European countries. And quite frankly, I think this looks way better, like leagues better than the Golf. And not that the Golf is ugly. I think it's a great car. But, you know, we get the Golf R, we get the GTI, but we don't get this at all. We don't get the Scirocco, nor do we get the Scirocco R. I think this is awesome. Again, like, why don't we get this, right? Of course not. They just got to dangle, you know, that fruit in front of us. Like, look at what other guys get, right? Like, we have this brand here. It's just you guys don't get this model, right? This happens a lot. Yeah, this thing is very sharp. I think for a Volkswagen, this is, at least in my opinion, for like a smaller Volkswagen, this is like one of the sharpest cars I've ever made. The design is awesome on this. Very flowing, very streamlined. The things I would do for a Scirocco are stateside as an American VW owner. Yeah. Look at it in green, too. I mean, this thing is badass, man. I really mean it. This thing is awesome. Now, this is another one. Yeah, just American way, right? They bring over, finally, a Euro hot hatch. And, yeah. They only brought it over for a couple years, and they're already gone, right? We got the Focus ST for a little bit. We got the Focus RS for just like, what, 2 or 3 model years? That's it. They're already long gone. Meanwhile, in Europe, you still have a Focus ST. It's like a much newer one. I think, by the way, this looks awesome. It's holding up very well. And, of course, a newer one like this we don't get. So it's back to a forbidden fruit, and it's from Ford. You know, yeah, it's just hilarious to me that we don't get this. Then we have this thing, apparently. I have no idea what this is. It looks like the Renault logo on the wheels. Beyond that, I'm a little lost. I'm a little confused by this thing. Yeah, what is this? Is it a car? I think it is. Or is this a crossover? I think it's a car. Definitely got to admit, this is a very weird shape. Not exactly the greatest thing I've ever seen. Although, there's something in me, right? There's something in a lot of, like, car guys, especially from the U.S., I guess. We miss out on so much that seeing this, even though it's not a particularly attractive car, it's just weird enough and, you know, so 1,000% different than anything you'd see here that I kind of want one. This could be a terrible car, and I kind of don't care. I'd get one anyway. Even this, like Suzuki. We had Suzuki here, again, for only a few years, in like the early 2000s to like 2012 or something, and then now they were gone. We get Suzuki motorcycles, of course, but that's it. We don't get any of their cars anymore, and I thought they quit, you know, again, American ignorance. I thought Suzuki was just like done with cars around the whole earth. But that I, of course, learned years later, like, oh, no, they still make cars everywhere, just except here. So I don't know what this is. I don't know any of their model names, but I could tell you that I particularly think they're kind of attractive. They're cool, right? They're not like the coolest thing on earth, but they're not ugly. I think they look sharp for what they are, and I don't know how they are. I'm assuming like they're decent mechanically. I mean, could they be that bad? I would hope not. I think this is pretty cool. And again, another offering for a nice, affordable car that, well, we can't have here. And of course, I will have to admit, these are what I'm most jealous of. I don't know what it is. I mean, I do know what it is. I like cheap, kind of like basic cars. I don't know. There's something satisfying I find about it. And Dacia's, right? The Duster. Some people might be laughing right now. These might be so common. You'd think, why on earth would you want this? I do. I want one. I think these are super cool. I actually think it looks good. It has that basic kind of utilitarian look to it in a good way. It's what I like. I like this. And this is getting extinct here. You know, you could always find basic versions of cars here up until 10 years ago, and it started getting rare and more rare year by year. And now in 2025, 2026, there is almost no such thing as base models anymore, right? Everything's fully loaded, jazzed up, weird looking, futuristic. I like this. This looks like a modern car, but it also looks like a basic car of yesteryear at the same time. I think it's awesome. I think these are probably simple and reliable as long as you just take care of it. I like this. Why can't we have this? Why can't I have this in the U.S.? Really? Why? Of course, this has to be mentioned, right? All the Toyota pickups, right? I mean, we get the Tundra and the Tacoma, and they're all right. The newer ones are not good. The older ones are. But we've always missed out, man. We've missed out on Land Cruisers. We've missed out on the Toyota Hilux. You can see here, Europeans don't get the anti-aircraft gun option, but the Americans don't get the truck at all. And yeah, we just miss out on all of it, man. But this vehicle above it, I'm really interested in. This is a Citroen, apparently. A Citroen. I love it. I actually have to admit, I know it sounds funny because I've said this about every other car so far. This, if I could pick at least out of this episode, right here, I need to find out what this is. I'm going to do that in a second. I want this. And I mean it. I really want this. If I could grab one of these out of the screen and put it in my driveway right now, this would be it. I'm not joking. I am that guy. You could show me the next picture. It could be a Lamborghini. No. I want this. What is this? This thing is awesome. Okay, so a Google Lens, it's a C15 that was produced by Citroen from 84 to 2005. It was derived from the Visa and succeeded the Acadian. It was mainly available in diesel engines, of course. It also had a petrol PSA TU engine option. It had panel van options, of course, rear side window options, and then a rear pickup truck version. Okay, yeah. See, you can't be telling me that because it's going to make me want to find one of these and buy it. And everyone's going to be mad at me. So if we look up the Citroen C15, yeah, this thing is awesome. I told you I love utilitarian, like weird vehicles, steelies. This thing's kind of lifted up. Yo, I really like this a lot. This thing is awesome. Yeah, this is dangerous. This is dangerous looking at this because I really got to find one of these now. Yeah, there it is. Oh my goodness. I love it. How freaking cool is that? It's like a mini truck. Oh yeah, that is so cool. You know what? I would take the truck, although I have to admit, I think I actually do like it better in the van version. Yeah, I would take it in the van version. Yeah, because when I look at this looks even cooler. I don't know why. All right, so now we go to C15 for sale. Let's see if I can even find this. Remember, I'm looking up this from the U.S. Okay, so here we go. This is one random site, the parking-cars.com. I don't know how legit this is. I don't know much about buying cars in different countries, but I can tell you I'm a little excited because these things are cheap. Here's a couple for sale in Spain. And I don't know if this is showing U.S. dollars because I'm looking from the U.S. or if they're just, if this is another currency. I think it's converting it to dollars. That would be my guess. So if it is, I mean, this is cheap. $2,500, $2,300. I mean, we're talking. Now we're talking, baby. This is awesome, right? I can handle that. I got to see about this. How fun would it be if I imported one of these? Then some of them, though, are a little high. So this one is like some weird, almost museum piece. It's like a perfect shape. Apparently only has 3,000 miles, which doesn't even make sense. Like it was never driven then. And this one's 13 grand. So I'm not in the mood for that one. That's too much. But one of these kind of white ones, a little beat up, 2 grand from France. 150,000 miles, 1995. Of course, it is a manual and a diesel. Yeah, that's it. That is it, baby. Give me that. I will take that in a heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, look at this beauty, man. This thing is awesome. It's got a little rust. Not a fan of that. But you know what? We can deal with that. I mean, it is what it is, right? And there's only 2 pictures. So there you go. It doesn't get more legit than that. Here's one that was sold on Bring Your Trailer, actually in the U.S. This is from years ago. Let's see. I actually like this a lot. This one's in some weird brown color, which makes no sense, but I love it anyway. It looks awesome. It's one of the windowed versions. That's kind of cool. And it looks like a mid-90s. It's a 1.8-liter diesel inline 4 with a 5-speed manual. Absolutely perfect. This one's a low-mile one, only 39,000 miles or 63,000 kilometers. I think that's pretty low if you ask me. It looks awesome. I don't know what about it. I like it a lot. It's so dorky. It has like a cool kind of high stance. Now we got to see how much this sold for. It sold actually 5 years ago. Oddly enough, it looks like it never finished. Maybe it had a reserve or something, although it says no reserve. So I don't know how much it sold for, but it looks like the bids were around $4,000 to $5,000 US. I think that's pretty reasonable, and I guess I'll just have to keep my eye out for these, although I don't expect to see a lot of these for sale. It's not like it's a collector car or even, just a famous normal car that people still like. I mean, this is like a weird, cargo van that people probably beat up and just threw away. So I'm sure there's not like a bunch of people lined up to buy these. And then we'll end it with this one was just the coolest Fords ever sold. Now, Ford is a massive company, sold in, as far as I know, like seems like every country, just everywhere you can think of, right? Of course, I always think of Ford as American, but they're really a global brand. And of course, they may be based here, but they're pretty impressive at how they kind of do make different cars for different markets. And for example, Fords you could buy brand new in Germany, Fords you could buy brand new in the UK. They're going to be a lot different than the Fords you can buy over here in the US. And I think that's probably good on Ford that they do that. They don't just try and bring all the weird cars that we have and try and dump them everywhere else and expect them to sell the same. They actually study their market and build cars accordingly, and I think that's pretty smart, at least from what I see. So these are kind of cool. These look a little bit like a Ford Fusion, which would be like a midsize sedan here. Although I don't know what it is. If it just things from different places that you don't have always look better. I don't know if that's like a trick in your head or not. I feel like these actually look a little bit different, very subtly. And I think they actually have a better stance. They look a little better than the Fusions for some reason. Of course, Australia, by the way, like the Australia, New Zealand, like way down there, they have awesome Fords, right? A lot of V6 and V8s, a lot of rear-wheel drives, a lot of manuals. I think that's awesome. We didn't get nearly anything like that except the Mustang. Of course, we got the big boats like the Crown Victoria and the Grand Marquis, but they, didn't come in manuals. Look at this. AU Falcons. I freaking love it. A prophetic original Ford Fusion. What? What is this? We didn't get anything like this. It's like a crossover kind of. Again, kind of a dorky car, but I can rock with it. If it's a manual and it's a diesel, I'd take it. Of course, back years ago, you had the Focus RS way before we had it, and this was the Mark II, I believe. I remember seeing this on Top Gear a long time ago, and I was amazed because, remember, we didn't have anything like this. So seeing a Ford Focus sliding around tracks, like burning rubber and just, accelerating extremely fast, it seems so foreign. That was the first time I realized that other countries get a lot different versions of cars that we don't have here. I was like, at that time, in 2010, let's say, the Ford Focus was a very boring car here, right? Nothing special at all. And then, meanwhile, you look at a Ford Focus RS from the UK and look what it looks like. It's awesome. It's fast. Cross-platform development with Volvo, Ford, Mazda. I mean, this thing is awesome. Of course, you have the OG Escorts, the Ford Ka. I've seen that's like a really small car. I think it's awesome and just funny, right? The Ford Puma. That's interesting. I don't know about this at all, but it's definitely not one we got. Of course, you have diesel Focus. We've never had a diesel Focus ever. I've never even heard of that. So there you go. A brown color that we didn't get. Diesel, manual. You get it. Yeah. You guys have so much more choices. I got to see this. And see, so we got this body style. Wow. There's so much going on here. We got this body style of Focus here. I don't know what gen, right? I'm not a Focus expert. But this gen, right? You can see the taillights, the headlights. We got this body style here, but it only came in a hatchback or a sedan. We never got a wagon. This looks like a wagon to me. First of all, this actually looks surprisingly good in a wagon. Second of all, this brown color looks surprisingly good. I like it a lot. We never got that here. They were very rare in manuals, and you certainly could never get a manual diesel. That never existed here. So right here, just a regular old Focus diesel wagon, manual that you might see everywhere in certain countries, you literally would never see here. And that's the point of this video, is that it's so fun learning about cars. And, you know, there's a lot of people that probably didn't have a lot of cars maybe I've seen, and they, you know, miss out on them, and they think, man, I wish I could see this or that. So I guess, you know, to a degree, this can affect all of us when you kind of look outside and see forbidden cars that you never got in your market. But I think it's pretty fun, and I think it's interesting that the car-centric U.S. has such a limited selection of cars, and it gets more and more limited as the years go on. Like, it's very limited right now, even compared to the 90s when we did have a lot more choices. I hope you enjoyed this. This will be a great video for comments. Please teach me about some more cars I have to look up in the future, especially with car content. I really depend on your guys' education, your guys' comments. I learn a lot from them, and of course, I can literally, you know, bounce ideas you guys have into future videos. It really helps out a lot. So I appreciate you watching. Hope to see you in the next one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.